This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Hi, welcome to Business, Equity, and Opportunity. I'm Scott Sander. If you're an entrepreneur, part of a small business startup, or a business owner looking for more success, this show is tailor-made for you. We seek out wisdom and tips from people who've been through the process of starting and running their own businesses. We talk to successful owners, community leaders, our own team of experts, all to give you timely and sound advice to help you find success. Our goal is to share useful and compelling stories that show elements of diversity, equity, and opportunities. Each of the show's 7 segments are designed to cover the important and frequently misunderstood topics that you'll need to deal with when starting a small business. From starting it to running it, accessing capital, finding success, and everything in between. You can watch our work here every Sunday on Wish TV or catch the live stream on wishtv.com. Plus, you can access our content and share it on demand anytime through beoshow.com. Let's get to it. Here's what's coming up today on Business, Equity, and Opportunities. We'll have a follow-up to our popular JPMorgan Chase interview. Also, just announced a new initiative to honor the heritage and legacy of predominantly black neighborhoods. Courtney Kincaid has warnings about the latest business scams. We meet the leaders of Indy Crew, which connects women in commercial real estate. Find out how a farming co-op is helping promote agriculture education and leadership. And we talk to this year's Woman of the Year in the trade industry. That's a lot to get covered, so let's get started.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
So I'm Duane Conwell, Senior Director of Procurement and Supplier Diversity for Pacer Sports and Entertainment. Oh, wow. It's been 30 years, long time coming, but I started out, graduated from Purdue, born and raised here in Indy. And then out of college, I have an engineering degree, so I started out in the automotive industry. Spent some time there at General Motors, 8.5 years, and then Toyota as well. And at GM is when I started my whole buying career. So I moved into purchasing at the time. It wasn't procurement, it was purchasing, and bought fasteners. So that's really started my love for procurement and buying. And went to Toyota, bought seat sets there for North America. Really expanded my horizon. Spent a little time in Japan, learning in Japan. It was awesome. And then I moved back to Indy. Got married, had a family. And then I went to work for Mays Chemical, Bill Mays. Wonderful company, small business, a black-owned business. Bill Mays was such a giver and a stalwart in the community, which really helped develop my love for small business. I worked there for 15.5 years. I was purchasing manager, still in the area of procurement and purchasing, and just developed a lot of relationships there. You may know Kristen May, she took over the company. I just wanted to do something different, had been there 15.5 years and got the opportunity to go into sports. And I left Mays Chemical and went to the NCAA and actually implemented procurement there. So spent 3 years at the NCAA developing their procurement system. And then this position just kind of popped up, fell in my lap. It was a natural progression because it was the same thing that I had done at the NCAA successfully in implementing procurement, and same system. And still within the love of supporting small businesses. So that's kind of how I, got to Pacer Sports and Entertainment. They were looking for someone to implement procurement and supplier diversity, and that had been my love. So I've spent time in manufacturing. I've spent time in distribution and looking at how things move and the cost of movement and stocking and storing. And then, the service industry with the NCAA and Pacers Sports and Entertainment. So from a whole supply chain standpoint, I pretty well understand, how things move from a supply chain standpoint, which really lends well to small business and mentorship of small businesses, helping them to understand how the supply chain works and, where the peaks and the valleys are and how to really develop their business. Because I've been able to see it from beginning to end in all different industries. So it's played really well. It's so wild. I have one business, well, more than one. They just call me the champion. And it's an endearing term. Sometimes it's tough. You gotta fight for them. People don't understand why we should use small businesses. But when those businesses come back to me and give me a hug or call me or touch bases with me and say, can you give me advice or how do I handle this? That happens every day, all day with me. And that is what keeps me going every day. That's what gives me that fulfillment.
If you have a business story to share about getting started or anything else, tell us about it. We'd love to hear it. Email beo@wishtv.com. Up next, we share a special moment. A banking veteran here in Indianapolis gets a rare chance for some FaceTime with a customer who credits her for helping him find success.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Access to capital.
Over the years, we've certainly encouraged relationships as a way to get ahead on your journey to becoming an entrepreneur, a small business owner. A couple of people who know that path quite well, though they know each other quite well without knowing each other at all. Join us right now, David Roger and Hetal Jogi, who join us with a remarkable relationship crafted through JPMorgan Chase and the private bank. Thank you both for being with us very much. Hetal, let's start with you. What's your role with the bank and how did David come into your life?
So I am a part of the client service relation in here in Indianapolis, and I'm a client service professional, and I manage client David's day-to-day transactions, his accounts, any inquiries he has on the accounts.
How did this come together, David? You were, and this is 5 years into this now, looking to do the very thing that we talk about each week.
Yeah, so this actually, even back before then, I think Hetal and I have known each other for over half a decade. With my previous company, Felix Bray, which Joe was the main banker, Hetal was our main contact there. And now we've started a new company and have continued to work with Chase and Hetal.
What are sort of the benefits that you've seen through this relationship?
There's a lot that goes on into a business, a lot of the nitty-gritty that people don't think about when they're first starting something. And a lot of that has to do with the administration and the finance. And you need a great team like the people at Chase to help support you along the way. So that might mean opening accounts, making sure wires are getting sent through. During COVID, making sure that, the loan documents that we were able to get were secured. All those things, Hetal, Joe, and the rest of the Chase team were really helpful with.
Hetal, he mentioned the nitty and the gritty. If you're an expert at that, sort of talk about what his story has meant in terms of how it relates to other potential customers or those that you work with as well. Is it a pretty typical experience that once this relationship is formed, it stays forged together for years?
David and I worked together, for a very long time, and I like to connect with my clients. Part of my job is to connect with the client and take care of them because they are busy running their own company. I don't want them to worry about their banking.
You know each other, but you barely know each other. Is it correct that this may have only been the maybe second time you've seen each other in the more than half decade you've worked?
Yeah. I mean, we mostly emails and phones, and then during the COVID, the Zoom came, and we had a one Zoom, I believe, with David, and that's about it. We have never met in person.
David, is it odd knowing someone so well, then never knowing them?
I don't think so. I think like Hetal said, post COVID and during COVID, the world kind of changed, and we ended up at Felix Story going remote and then hiring people that were, remote who I hadn't met. Some people took me 18 months until I finally met them in person. Hetal, I still haven't met in person. I know that, Hetal and her daughter, they went to India recently. It extends beyond just the work relationship, and I think you can have a meaningful relationship with today's technology, even if you've never met in person.
Well, you talk about it extends beyond that. I understand this really does. And if someone was watching this and thinking, oh, they're just giving love to the bank or whatnot, no, this is an actual, I guess, is friendship the right word? Because you've done something very profound with one of your new business ventures that relates directly to your partner. Tell us what the name of the company is.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background. So as we really expanded into retail at Felix Gray, we realized how broken a lot of the systems were in terms of brands understanding how they're presenting on shelf, which is so important to making sure that they're selling through their inventory properly. And so we started a new company, and the idea behind that was ensuring your retail health. And we wordsmithed that, and we had a bunch of different options on the table, and we came to Hetal. So, and one of the driving principles behind us deciding that name was it has such a good vibe from, the years that we've worked with Hetal. And I'm working on this new company with a bunch of members of the old Felix Gray team that, we just said, this is a great name. We got to go for it.
That's pretty humbling, isn't it, Hetal?
It is super. I was super overwhelmed, and I actually couldn't believe it. So I had to call David. I said, David, is this coincidence, or did you actually pick my name? And he just started laughing, and he said, did you like it? And it was just, I still don't believe it.
Bigger charge out of having a company basically named after you, or meeting with Jamie Dimon in his recent visit to Indianapolis?
Well, because of David, I made Jamie Dimon. So I actually thanked David, sent him pictures, and I said, because of you, I met Jamie Dimon. Meeting Jamie Dimon was my lifetime dream.
Wow.
I used to say, I've been with Chase for 26 years, and just randomly, I used to say, one day I'm going to have a picture with Jamie Dimon. Because I see a lot of employees' pictures and stuff. I said, one day I will have, but I didn't know this dream was going to come true. And thank you, David, for that, making that dream come true.
Not just me, Hetal. Well deserved for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Well, and next one is to take a picture with you, David, when I'm coming in New York in May or June.
Okay, that sounds great.
So this is going to happen.
It will happen.
I believe it. And what a cool story. I think it underscores what we talk about a lot, these relationships being so important. And whatever bank one chooses, if someone feels like the customer service is not a thing anymore, this seems to be pretty good evidence. And David, since you're the client here, would you agree that doesn't have to be the case?
100%. And there's so many new age banks that are out there, and while they're great in many ways, they don't have that human relationship, and that's not always. It really isn't always important until it becomes really important and you really need something, and then that's when it makes all the difference in the world.
You guys are terrific. Thank you for the time today. Promise me that one of you will send us the snapshot of when you two finally meet in New York City, all right?
Deal.
Definitely will.
Hetal Jogi, thank you. David Roger, thank you. Now both of you get back to work. Up next, new information about the Indy Black Heritage and Legacy Trail. See the marketing strategy and the neighborhoods it plans to feature. That's coming up as we continue business, equity, and opportunities.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back. Danicia Malone is the project manager and urban trail guide for the Indy Black Heritage and Legacy Trail, community-driven initiative aimed at celebrating the cultural heritage of Black communities in Indianapolis.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This Week in Business.
Well, we're in a historically Black, predominantly Black neighborhood, which is always a great place to be, especially for me as someone who is a woman of color. Flanner House in and of itself is a powerhouse in Indianapolis's history. They've had a long standing and a long running of creating stable housing opportunities, stable employment opportunities for Black neighbors and residents. And as it stands, they're doing tremendous work over the last 5 to 7 years of revitalizing this area and expanding entrepreneurial opportunities, housing opportunities, safe stay opportunities. So very happy to be here in Ujamaa. Yeah, so that initiative is the Indianapolis Black Heritage and Legacy Trail, and I'm partnering with Kayla Austin, who is a phenomenal archivist in the city. I myself, again, am an urban planner, and we have been engaging on this project that seeks to think about archiving as something that people can do in their homes, recognizing that artifacts and objects that exist in Black homes don't necessarily have the same place to go as other artifacts might for a traditional museum setting. And so learning how to share the resources that Kayla has to protect and preserve these artifacts. And then the other portion of that is what we're calling wayfinding or placekeeping. And it's identifying these historically Black, predominantly Black neighborhoods that have been doing tremendous work to stabilize their own communities, that have been doing tremendous work around neighborhood gathering, around neighborhood viability. And the two together are the Indianapolis Black Heritage and Legacy Trail. When we go through this process, the objective for it to be a trail, it's very loose. There's not going to be like construction that's happening, but it's to say that we're going to put temporary heritage and legacy markers in each of these neighborhoods as decided and designed by the neighbors to tell their own stories. So we are doing a series of workshops within each neighborhood. It's like a 3 to 4 month panel of learnings where we talk about archiving, we talk about identity, and we talk about storytelling. And so the neighbors who come are sharing with us who they are, where they're from, what their neighborhood used to be called, what it's called now, the places they remember that might no longer exist. And so we're going through this sort of creative charrette process of learning, relearning ourselves, relearning old histories, relearning new narratives. And from all of that, we'll be working with what we're calling a trio. And the trio is a selection of an artist, a griot, and a memory keeper to help us cull those stories together and design something that is reflective of what the neighbors want it to be. You know, I can't speak for both of us, but I think we share this desire to disclose and celebrate that Black neighborhoods exist here in Indianapolis, Black neighborhoods exist across Marion County, to showcase that there's a bounty of them, including Indiana Avenue, but not limited to Indiana Avenue, to recognize that these neighbors and neighborhoods have been doing tremendous work for decades to ensure their own safety and viability, and to think about how resources can be repositioned to support the work that they're doing. What would it mean for those neighborhoods to have like historical marking as designated by the federal government? That's a whole nother suite of resources and protections that comes when we think about how we disperse all of these funds and how we think about policy. I think for us, this is a spark for something a bit bigger. This is a way for us to celebrate and acknowledge that these places exist. And this is a way for us to share with folks who are considered elders now, or share with folks who may have gone their separate direction, maybe they've moved away. We've gotten some really cool stories about folks who have like grown up in Norwood and now live in Australia, or who have grown up in Babe Denny and have gotten word about this project and they're living in Germany. And they're thinking about how they give back into the neighborhood. And so for us, it's a point of connection. How do we connect to ourselves? How do we connect to each other? Recognizing that transportation and transit have had a huge impact in disconnecting Black neighborhoods, and how we think about bringing in resources from the city, from the state. The work that is already taking place in these neighborhoods is tremendous. And what we're hoping to do is just acknowledge that we've got these artifacts, we've got these really cool objects, we've got these beautiful heritage and histories. How do we acknowledge them? How do we lift them up? On the other end of that is, how do we make it so that if any common person, any neighbor is traveling through a neighborhood, that they get an opportunity to stop and learn about where they are with that wayfinding marker. And then they get to share what they learned with others. We're hoping that those points of engagement encourage more resources to be funneled into these places. It doesn't always have to be monetary, but there are resources that come by way of shared connection. There are resources that come by way of understanding policy. What are the policy implications that are happening here? All of those things, and things that I can't even imagine, is what we're hoping that this can, again, just start to spark and encourage people to recognize that these places exist. Yeah, so we have, again, really wonderful partners within each of these neighborhoods. So that's been number one. I can't, sing their praises enough. But we're hoping that neighbors value this as well and come out and share their stories. We can't do this without them. So all of the neighborhoods that we're in, again, Babe Denny, Norwood, Hallville, Near Northwest, and Martindale, please come out, share the stories with us. We're constantly seeking funding as well. We want to make sure that we have enough resources to promote what we're doing. We have enough resources to make sure that these workshops stay hearty and healthy, and that we have the appropriate resources to make sure that the wayfinding goes in acknowledging and honoring what the neighbors have told us they want as their representation of themselves, and to do it in a grand way, right? We're not trying to do the traditional blue back, silver text, but we're doing something that is interactive, we're doing something that is colorful, we're doing something that's vibrant, because we want to make sure that the way the neighbors see themselves is being reflected appropriately. So we do have a fundraising campaign, and we would love for people to support in that way as well.
This Week in Business is made possible by InnoPower.
When we come back, Courtney Kincaid has tips on protecting yourself, your clients, and your business against fraud. Later, we meet the leaders of an organization providing both resources and mentorship to women in commercial real estate. It's all ahead on Business Equity and Opportunities.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Thanks for spending time with us. Fraud is unfortunately an all too common business problem. Security experts caution bad actors are out there looking for an opportunity to breach your systems. Courtney Kincaid, the president and CEO of the Indiana CPA Society, has some tips and warnings about what it takes to stay alert and safe.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
When we talk about fraud, we're talking about a lot of new frightening ways that people are successfully conducting fraud in the new technology scape that we live in. And specifically when we think about businesses' finances, there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of interest from bad actors. And so when we look at the AI and what it's able to do, it's really kind of scary. To talk about AI and kind of what's protecting consumers, kind of helpful to go back to 2010. 14 years ago, we probably didn't have any idea what was going to come, but if you go back that far, you get back to we were having a lot of financial insecurity related to the recession and what kind of caused that. The Dodd-Frank bill that was passed at that time, it put a lot of security in there as far as risk-taking from organizations and what they were able to do, and putting some guardrails around that. But there was also an uptick in the amount of consumer protection that was coming out, right? So that consumers couldn't be caught victim anymore. And so one of the outcomes of that was different groups spun up, and one of them was a research-based institution that kind of looked at the evolving landscape, and it's the Financial Stabilities Oversight Council. And this council does an annual report and kind of looks at what are the risks in the market for consumers, what are the risks in the market for financial institutions, and what should be done to protect those individuals. One of the recommendations is a really simple one, and it's about passwords. For you to have protected systems online, one of your biggest lines of defense is protected passwords. So what goes into good passwords? Complex passwords are great, not repeating passwords, but the really kind of annoying multi-factor authentication methods that you see starting to really rise up in how often you see them, right? Those are very helpful. So multi-factor authentication kind of looks at, sure, you have a password, but they might also need to send you an email. So two different ways. So if your password is, intercepted or in a leak, what you'll be able to do is go back and they'll say, hey, we also sent you an email. Those who might steal your password won't be able to have access to your email, and so you're still protected. It's really, really good policy to make sure that your staff in your organization are using diverse passwords. Consider using a password keeper, and on systems where it's offered that you're enabling that multi-factor authentication. A lot of different technologies are using what seem like maybe some sci-fi approaches for multi-factor authentication, whether that is a retinal scan or a thumbprint. CPAs are very aware of these and use these. We actually use them on the CPA exam. But these biometrics are really effective ways at enhancing security because they are unique to individuals.
If you'd like to see more of Courtney's accounting and bookkeeping tips, you'll find them on our website, beoshow.com. Follow the QR code, it'll get you right there. Up next, if you're interested in commercial real estate or you'd like to learn more about it, we talk to some of the leaders in the industry. Coming up in Business Equity and Opportunity.
Every business is unique, and every business has a target audience. Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble to reach a customer base that spans the globe. Pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. No matter the size of your business, put Circulus Digital Media to work for you and get results. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back. The Crew Network is a global organization that works to advance women in commercial real estate. The group says earnings gaps between men and women are still significant in the industry. Crew found in 2020, salary gap was more than 10%. The commission and bonus gap was nearly 60%. Through mentoring and leadership, the Indianapolis chapter of Crew is trying to do something about that.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Running your business day to day.
So CREW stands for Commercial Real Estate Women. As indicated, we are the local chapter of a larger organization. The focus within the CREW network is advancing women within the commercial real estate industry. It's historically been a very male-dominated industry, and so our chapter was founded 24 years ago, again, to help women advance within the field.
Our main tenet is to advance women within the Indianapolis area in the fields of commercial real estate, but we also have men who are members. We really try to support the local market in all the ways, the diverse ways of the commercial real estate industry. So we like to support both women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, as well as any traditional commercial real estate businesses in the Indianapolis area.
So the industry, I would say, is constantly changing. Since I've been in the industry about 16 years now, I started in 2008, which was also a terrible time to be in commercial real estate. Coming out of COVID, I think things are not as bad as people anticipated they would be, but we haven't really seen the full shakeout just yet. So we are staying busy, but things are a little bit slower. Businesses are cautious in terms of expanding and taking on more space right now, but it's relatively steady. I would say far better than I anticipated it being at this point.
So Indy Crew has several different facets where we support women in the local Indianapolis market. We have different events throughout the year that we host. The biggest event that we have is the one we just held, which is our Women in Leadership event that was held on March 6th. We also have monthly luncheons, we have a golf event, we're adding a pickleball tournament this year, and we have lots of mentoring opportunities. We have a formal mentorship program for our members. There are a ton of different ways for women to get involved in our organization in a very formal manner, as well as lots of different informal ways for members to connect. But at the heart of Indy Crew, we are a business networking organization.
The vast majority of my entire network came from my relationships within the Crew network. I joined Indy Crew when I got into the industry almost immediately, and it helped me build my network of people that are in finance, attorneys, architects, construction. It lets me better serve my clients because I have this vast network that I can help them with. But again, it's anyone within the industry, and everyone in the organization wants to help each other and they want to do business with each other.
I think the thing that surprised me the most was how welcoming everyone was. Everyone was willing to help you and really came to you with an outstretched hand and was willing to step up and say, what can I do for you? What do you need? At the time when I joined, I was a brand new mom, and I was really having difficulty in my personal life navigating how to balance my career and motherhood. And there were so many mothers in Indy Crew who were willing to say, this is what worked for me. Do you need a babysitter? Here's somebody that could help you. So the ways that they were willing to help out, both professionally and personally, was something that I was not expecting.
I just think it keeps evolving. Again, the women within Crew since day one have been extremely welcoming and inclusive. And so as the world changes, or even at the heart of COVID, people were reaching out and, how can I help you, whether it's your mental health or with business, to keep you going through the really tough times. And as Danielle said, the organization's great about connecting you on a business front, but also personally, meeting you where you are in your life and connecting you with like-minded women.
I think there's lots of different things. So right now, one of the most important things to me, and one of the aspects that I really like about Indy Crew, is I've had such great mentors in my career that really helps me out. I'm at a point where I feel very compelled to give back, and I want to be able to be that outstretched hand to the next generation of women that are coming up in their career. And like I said, I feel so fortunate that I had great mentors. I hope that I can be that for someone else.
My answer is very similar. It's helping the next generation of women or women that are entering the commercial real estate field. It is a very difficult industry, especially for a female. When I first joined the commercial real estate industry, unfortunately, Indy Crew didn't have formal mentoring at the time, so I didn't have that. And I remember just craving it. I wanted somebody to help me and tell me, just kind of give me a path, and it was so challenging. So as I've advanced in my career, I love helping women at any stage of their career and help advance them. That's how you reach your hand forward. So I always use the analogy, I grew up as a runner, and sometimes in practice in high school, if you start fading back, you would reach your hand back to your teammate as they start fading and you pull them up with you. And that's kind of how I feel about commercial real estate. As people start falling back, you just want to pull them up with you so that we can all succeed.
Running your business day to day is made possible by Circulus Digital Media.
If you'd like to learn more about Indy Crew and its upcoming activities, we'll have a link on our website, beoshow.com. Coming up this hour, we turn our industry focus to farming and an organization that's committed to youth agriculture and developing leaders across the state. You're watching Business Equity and Opportunities. Welcome back. Keystone Cooperative is a 100% farmer-owned cooperative servicing Indiana and surrounding states. The co-op works to help the ag industry find success and build opportunities for the future. Keystone CEO Kevin Still explains.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
Hi, I'm Kevin Still, and I'm President and CEO of Keystone Cooperative. Okay, so at Keystone, we're pretty diversified. So we have what's called our energy division, where it's liquid fuel and propane. And a lot of that goes to our member owners. But on the propane side, there's a lot of home heating, and those are non-members. Our second business is the ag side of our business, where we sell inputs to farmers. And that's fertilizer, crop protection, and seed. The third one is grain. So we actually buy the grain from the farmer after they produce it, and we actually ship it. A lot of our grain goes to the southeast part of the United States. The fourth business is a little different than some, and it's really two businesses in one. One, we manufacture feed, but we also contract feed pigs. And in that case, the farmer owns the building, we pay for the space. So those are our four core businesses that really make us successful. So the beauty of the co-op, it's owned by the farmers, it's locally managed. I'm governed by a board of farmers that are elected from the shareholders. We obviously invest in our employees, our most important asset. We invest in assets in the community. We're a big player in the communities where we do business. Last year we donated over $1 million to the communities where we do business. So we like to say we're really local. We like to say we give money back to Main Street and not to Wall Street. One key thing is the patronage we pay. So at the end of the year, we have a net income, and whatever we don't need to retain in the business, we pay back to our shareholders. So this last year, we paid back $57 million, $50 million in cash. Well, in a couple ways. So one way is to try to bring the young farmer back to the farm. We're trying to help them in various ways. One specific way, for instance, we contract feed pigs. So the farmer, he buys the building, but he knows he's going to get cash flow from us because we pay him for space. It's a great way to bring a young farmer back. Technology is such a big role. And so really, as the farmers are changing generations, which we're seeing, I mean, the average age of a farmer today is over 60. We're starting to see that generational change. So technology plays a big role, and we need to keep up with them and be a partner with them. So that then ties back into our company at Keystone. I mean, that's why we have so many great jobs. High technology these days, variable rate. We do a lot of things that uses technology. And then even in the corporate office, obviously, we have those kind of jobs too. Well, first of all, again, on the farm, I think we've gone through a really good cycle, and farm income has been great. So we have drawn some young people back, and that's how we're seeing that generational change. As far as us at Keystone, again, we have to be out on those college campuses. We've got to be recruiting. We've got to talk about who we are. I think today's young people want to go to work where there's a purpose. And I don't think there's any better purpose than raising the food to feed the world. And the American farmer does that every day. Well, I think, we've gone through a few mergers here in the last 3 years that really, they were on my bucket list. So to see them come to fruition, to see us continue to grow our company, we're all about our employee team, and that's what sets us apart. Because let's face it, everybody sells the same products we sell. It's our team that differentiates us. So to see us bring our teams together, and I always talk about 1 + 1 = 3. So I'm just really excited about what we have going on at Keystone and really looking forward to the future. Yeah, so at Keystone we have 1,700 employees, and it is a wide range of jobs, all the way from general labor to being an applicator to being middle management to upper management. So there's a wealth of different kinds of positions that we have. And the great thing about it is, as we have grown, it gives our team opportunities to move up within our organization. So, but when we look at how we tap, where we can find employees, because I mentioned labor, one thing we have done is we work closely with FFA, and there's a lot of FFA students that don't go on to college. Those are the kind of kids we want working for us. We've started a new program, it's called SEED. And what we do is we're going to bring in up to 20 FFA students every year, and they're going to work in each one of our 4 divisions and in the corporate office. And then at the end of that time, we'll place them where they want to work. Yeah, it's incredible, I think, what we do for the communities where we do business. Because let's face it, a lot of the communities, we're the last business standing. So we play a key role, whether it's our people donating their time on fire departments or in economic development, Also, I talked about when we pay back patronage, that goes back to the farmer. They spend it locally. So we're all about working with our communities and keeping them vibrant.
If you'd like more information about this or any of our industry-focused segments, visit our website, beoshow.com. When we return this hour, we sit down with this year's Woman of the Year in the Trades to find out more opportunities for women in this fast-growing industry. Stay with us.
Swing into savings with the Wish TV Great Golf Club card. We've even added an interactive map at wishtv.com and the Wish TV app for easy navigation to each course.
Each card gets you a round of golf at 23 premier Central Indiana courses. Save over 75% off regular rates for the 2024 golf season.
Don't miss out on the ultimate golfing experience. Join the Great Golf Club today.
Visit wishtv.com/sports to get your Great Golf Club membership. Great Golf Club Card 2024 is brought to you by Circulus Digital Media.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Renee Lucas is the owner of LCS Heating and Cooling and the 2023 Service Nation Woman of the Year and a staunch advocate for women in the trade.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Success Story.
My husband was an HVAC technician out of high school. After a little while, that's what he went to school for. And, he said to me one day, it'd be cool to have our own business. And so fast forward several years, he worked as an installer, he worked as a service technician, and we felt like we were ready. And so in 2005, we established LCS Heating and Cooling. And so that's really my introduction. I didn't know anything about the trades until then. And I started out, I was answering all of our phone calls. I was, getting a website built. I was doing the invoicing. I was doing all of the kind of behind the scenes in the office. And over the years, that position has evolved and the company has grown. And so today, I'm definitely a visionary of the company and see where do we want to go and what do we want to look like and what do we want our team to work towards and all that good stuff. I do a lot with our marketing and finances of the business as well. This is traditionally thought of as a male-dominated industry, and so you're used to a male technician coming to your home. You're used to a manager being male, and so it's actually evolved a lot over the years, and I'm an example of that. So starting out answering the phone in what would be more of a traditional role that is thought of, into moving into management and finance and different things like that. A lot of training that happens here in marketing. We have female technician on our staff, our service manager is female, and so there's a lot of opportunity for women in the trades outside of what you might think is a traditional role. I think for a lot of people, and I really struggled with this when I was starting it out, it was a lack of confidence in knowing, like, I don't really know what an air conditioner is. I don't, am I smart enough to understand, how that works and to be able to work on it and repair? Am I mechanically inclined? And so I think there's that misconception that you have to have some sort of history or something like that to be able to work on a piece of equipment like that. So many companies today, they train. And so as long as you have a willingness to learn and you're willing to, put that time in to understand and to learn and to work and to practice, anybody can do it. And then you'll find your knack as you start out. We've had people who have started as a maintenance technician and then they've decided that they really like the installation side of it better, or vice versa. We've had people who've started in the field and then they've gone into a sales position. And so there's so much room to grow and there's so many avenues to take a career that I think that, there's this misconception that you have to be a technician or you have to answer the telephone, or I think the other misconception is that because it is a demanding, it can be an emergency service that's provided. So, I'm gonna be working, 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, okay? And so are there times of the year where it gets pretty busy? Yes. When it's 0 out or 90 out, it can be pretty demanding for us. But, when it's not, there can actually be a lot of flexibility in our industry, especially if you are in, a maintenance technician, if you are in sales, if you're doing some marketing. People don't realize the flexibility, which can help out with things like childcare and home and kids' sports schedules and all of that good stuff. Women relate to people in a different way than men do, and it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just different. And so there are a lot of times, I'll never forget, I'll give you an example, I'll never forget the first time I was talking to somebody on the phone and I was answering questions about a quote for a new system that my husband had provided, but he wasn't home. And so I was talking to her and I was answering questions and Travis walked in and I said, oh, hey, Travis just got here, I can put him on the phone with you. And she was like, oh no, I don't need to talk to him, you're doing fine. Talk about a confidence booster, right? And so that really it helped me understand that I can do this and I do know what I'm talking about and I can learn and I do find it interesting, which is what keeps me going with new technology and new things as our industry is evolving. But a lot of it comes from self-confidence. As a company, we belong to a company called Service Nation Alliance, and it's a best practices group for contractors. So really helps contractors understand, how to run a great business, how to provide a business that, lets your employees be successful and happy and financially stable, and how to provide the best service to your clients and all of that good stuff. And so, each year there is a Woman of the Year award that is recognized, and I am so honored to have received that award in 2023. Looking at the women that have come before me, I remember sitting when Travis and I were first really getting to that point in our business where we were attending some conferences and doing some continuing education. I thought, man, I'd love to win an award one day. And that day came in October, and I tell you, it was very humbling. I feel very grateful, and I think of all of the companies and all of the people that have helped us along the way. Owning a business is no joke. It's tough, and there's some days you celebrate and there's some days you cry, right? And so, all of the people that supported us, and one of my goals is to be able to support other small business owners in the same way, and especially when they're, going through challenging times or there's something that they're working to improve upon in their business. I want to be a resource for them, just like so many have been for me.
Renee is one of 6 women we're featuring this year in our Celebrating Women special coming up March 28th, 6:30 in the evening on Wish TV. Catch it live, or you can see it and all of our Celebrating Women features on wishtv.com/celebrating. You'll find all of today's stories and more through beoshow.com. Scan the QR code, it always gets you right there. If you have questions or suggestions about what you'd like to see, send us an email, beo@wishtv.com. Thanks for spending this hour with us. Join us next week for more business equity and opportunities. Till then, I'm Scott Sander. Have a great day.
Business, equity, and opportunities made possible by InnoPower, Bose McKinney & Evans, Gemco, Fifth Third Bank, and Indiana University, Indianapolis.